Hey, I'm Riley. My life is usually as orderly as a library shelf. Everything in its place. But this past week, it's been like a book where all the pages are out of order. I've been holed up in my room for 3 days, and all I wanted was to hide from the world. My menu? Nothing but peanut butter jelly sandwiches and soda. Real gourmet stuff, right? The outside world felt like a story from another book, one I wasn't part of anymore. Then came the relentless knocking. My parents, obviously worried, kept trying to reach out.
Riley, we need to talk.
They'd plead through the door, but I wasn't ready to face them, to face anything really. I just need some time, became my mantra. Enter Harper, my sister and self-appointed mystery solver. She decided to take action. She called my boyfriend, fishing for clues. "What's the deal with Riley?" she inquired.
We haven't talked in 15 days,
he admitted, sounding as puzzled as he was concerned.
Riley broke up with me. Do you want me to come over?
Harper was quick to respond. "No, don't come over," she said firmly. My dad's phone rang. It was the school principal. He sounded serious.
Your daughter Harper is in trouble. You need to come to the school,
he said. My dad looked really upset.
What's happening in this house?
He said loudly.
One daughter won't leave her room, and the other is in trouble at school?
While Dad was asking Harper what she did, we heard a loud crash. Everyone stopped and looked. Someone had thrown a rock through our living room window. There was a note on the rock. Mom opened it, shaking. The note was scary. It said, "Stop doing what you're doing." Mom screamed, really scared. I heard all this from my room and finally came out. My dad saw me and looked worried and glad at the same time.
Riley, what's wrong? Did you shower in the last 3 days?
He asked, looking at my messy hair and clothes. Yes, I showered. What's happening? I asked, trying not to show I was scared too. My parents showed me the note. I felt really scared. Who sent this? And why? To find out who sent this note and what happens next, keep watching. And don't forget to subscribe to Out of a Book. There's more to this story, and you won't want to miss it. To understand the chaos in my life right now, let's rewind a bit. In school, I'm just a regular girl, and I've got this childhood friend, Jim. We're pretty much inseparable. As soon as we started high school, we started dating. But there's this thing that always bugs me, the injustice at school. Some kids, they just bully others, and it's like nobody does anything about it. One day, I couldn't keep it in any longer. "Jim, this isn't right. How can they just bully others like this?" I asked, feeling my frustration bubble up. Jim looked at me, a bit annoyed.
You always talk about it, Riley. Why don't you actually do something?
He challenged. So I asked him back, "Don't you have a problem with all this?"
If I had a problem, I'd have done something. But this is how the school's always been,
Jim replied, shrugging it off.
And you, talking about other kids. What about your own sister? She's a bully too.
That hit me hard. Jim was right. Harper, my sister, she's got this mean streak. She's always commenting on others, teasing them in ways that cut deep. Like this one time, she told Lucy, this quiet girl in our class, "Hey Lucy, did your voice go on vacation? Never hear you speak up." Everyone laughed, but Lucy just looked down, hurt. Another time, Harper spread this rumor about Mark, another classmate. She said he still watched cartoons meant for little kids. Poor Mark was so embarrassed, he skipped school for a few days. Back at school, things were getting worse. I noticed the bullies had a new trick. They were stealing essays from the quieter kids and passing them off as their own. It was so sneaky and unfair. One day in class, I overheard a commotion. "Miss, I did my essay, but it's gone," one of the quiet kids, Sam, said, sounding desperate. The teacher frowned.
If you can't keep track of your work, that's not my problem,
she replied dismissively. Just then, another kid, Ben, who always got bullied, shouted, "That's my essay, the one Jake just handed in." Jake, the biggest bully, just smirked.
Prove it,
he taunted. The teacher didn't even bother to look into it.
Enough, Ben. Sit down,
she ordered. I saw Ben's face go red with frustration. It was so wrong. Later, I heard Ben got sick from all the stress. He couldn't keep up with redoing all his work. That night, I was boiling with anger. I wrote everything down in a blog post. I wanted to expose the bullies and the unfairness. I finished the blog and went to click private, but I was so worked up I clicked publish by mistake. I didn't even realize what I had done until the next morning. The next day at school was like walking into a storm. Everyone was talking about the blog. It was like I accidentally started a revolution. In the hallway, I overheard some kids whispering, "Did you read that blog post? It's all about the bullying here." One of them said, eyes wide, "Yeah, and it's about time someone said something." Another replied, nodding. Their words gave me a weird mix of fear and pride. I had started something big, and now I couldn't just walk away from it. In the cafeteria, I sat down with my laptop, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. I thought maybe I should keep going, so I started writing more about our school, the good, the bad, and the ugly. One day, I got an anonymous confession from a student. It was heartfelt, talking about how they felt invisible at school. I posted it, and the response was overwhelming. Kids started sharing it, saying how much they related. Then came the Day in a Life series. I wrote about different students, what their school day was really like. I shared stories from the quiet kids, the ones always in the library, the athletes, everyone. It was like giving a voice to the voiceless. I even started an advice column. Students sent me their problems and I'd post advice. It wasn't just about school stuff, but about life, friends, and family too. It felt like I was connecting with everyone on a deeper level.
Hey, did you see the latest post on that blog?
I heard someone say in the library.
It's got a review on Mr. Thompson's history class. It's spot on.
I couldn't help but smile. My blog was becoming a go-to place for honest reviews on teachers and classes. Then, the unexpected happened. I started receiving submissions from teachers who wanted to post anonymously. They shared their thoughts about the school, teaching, and even gave advice to the students. It was like we were all coming together, breaking down the barriers between students and teachers. I added a section for small achievements too, like when Sarah finally spoke up in class, or when Tom made his first goal in soccer. These little things mattered, and I wanted everyone to feel seen and celebrated. As the blog grew, it became a sensation, almost like a revolution in our school. The popular kids, the ones who thought they were untouchable, started getting exposed. In the cafeteria, I overheard a group talking.
Did you see the latest post? Mike, the football captain, got caught cheating on tests. He's suspended now.
One of them said, shaking his head. Yeah, and Lisa, she's always acting so perfect, but she got caught bullying the younger kids. She had to apologize in front of the whole school. Another added, her eyes wide. The biggest shock came when Harper, my sister, got caught in the crossfire. Someone confessed about her mean behavior. Harper got in real trouble. She had to do community service for all the nasty things she's been saying. I heard someone whisper as I passed by. Now, the biggest mystery at school was the identity of the anonymous blogger. Some loved the blog, others hated it. I knew I had to keep my identity a secret. If people knew it was me, I'd be a target for sure. One day, Jim cornered me.
Riley, you always hated bullying. Someone's finally doing something about it, and it's working. Is that someone you?
He asked, looking at me intently. I felt my temper rising. Why would you think it's me? I snapped back, feeling cornered. We started arguing more and more. Jim felt neglected because I was so caught up with the blog.
We never go out anymore, Riley. You're always busy these days, and you barely have time for me,
he complained. I knew I had to make a tough decision. Jim, We need to break up, I said, my voice shaking. It's for the best for both of us, and I can't afford any distractions in my life with finals coming up soon. Breaking up with Jim hurt, but I felt like I had no choice. The blog had become a part of me, and I couldn't let it go. Plus, there was a part of me that loved the attention it was getting, even though nobody knew it was me behind it. Back to present day, millions of people were visiting the blog, and that's what I had been fixing for the last 3 days. But I started to realize some people suspected I was the one behind the blog. The next day, I went to school with my parents. Harper had gotten in trouble because of the evidence on the blog. She had a week of detention and was worried it might ruin her chances of getting into a good college. The following morning, I was getting ready for school and saw my phone buzzing with hundreds of notifications. It seemed like everyone now knew I was behind the blog. I was so shocked. How did they find out? At the same time, I felt a strange sense of pride because everyone was praising me. We were still trying to process everything when suddenly the blog got shut down. I felt like my world was collapsing. I had gained 500,000 followers on Instagram, but what was the point now? Walking home, tears streaming down my face. At home, Harper was waiting in the living room, furious. "Why didn't you tell me about the blog?" she demanded. "I didn't know it would get this big," I replied, feeling overwhelmed. "Do you like being famous now?" Harper snapped. "I deleted the whole thing. You exposed me in your blog, and now that blog is gone." Just then, a few people showed up at our door. They said they wanted to work with me, to be the face of the blog. They even offered to help retrieve it. After a few days, Harper also realized that she was wrong and apologized and started helping with the blog. Then I apologized to Jim and explained everything to him, and he forgave me.